The crystal chandelier above the grand ballroom sparkled brighter than the tears gathering in a young woman's eyes. Hundreds of wealthy guests watched in complete silence as one of the world's richest men pointed toward his own daughter-in-law and treated her like she was nothing more than an unwanted stranger. She stood there wearing a simple dress, her hands trembling, while whispers spread across the room. But no one could have imagined that within minutes, the arrival of one unexpected man would change everything forever and leave every single person in that room speechless. Before we continue, if you believe kindness is more valuable than money and that everyone deserves a second chance, please like this video, comment where you're watching from, share this story with someone you care about, and subscribe to The Kind Soul for more emotional and inspiring stories that remind us what truly matters in life. Emma had never dreamed of living in luxury. She grew up in a quiet town where people measured success by honesty instead of wealth. Her father raised her alone after her mother passed away when she was only 6 years old. Although they never had much money, Emma never felt poor because her father filled their small home with love, wisdom, and dignity. He taught her that true wealth was found in compassion, integrity, and the courage to stand by what was right, even when life became difficult. Those lessons stayed with her long after she became an adult. Everything changed when Emma met Daniel, the only son of billionaire businessman Richard Sterling. Daniel fell in love with Emma because she was unlike anyone he had ever met. She cared nothing about expensive cars, designer clothes, or exclusive parties. She listened with her heart, helped strangers without expecting anything in return, and brought peace into Daniel's stressful life. Despite knowing his father's obsession with status and family reputation, Daniel married Emma because he believed love was worth fighting for. Richard Sterling never accepted the marriage. In his eyes, Emma represented everything he disliked. She came from a modest background, had no influential family name, and brought no financial advantage to the Sterling empire. Although she always treated him with respect, Richard constantly reminded her that she did not belong in his world. Every family gathering became another opportunity to embarrass her, criticizing her clothes, her manners, and even her upbringing. Emma silently endured every insult because she loved her husband and refused to let hatred destroy their family. Months later, Richard organized an extravagant charity gala attended by celebrities, politicians, investors, and business leaders from around the world. Every detail reflected unimaginable wealth. Crystal decorations covered every table, priceless artwork decorated the walls, and luxury cars lined the entrance. Emma wore the only elegant dress she could afford, carefully prepared her appearance, and hoped that perhaps this evening would finally convince Richard to see her differently. Instead, it became the most painful night of her life. As everyone gathered for dinner, Richard deliberately called attention to Emma in front of the entire audience. Without raising his voice, he calmly explained that some people could never hide where they truly came from, no matter how expensive the surroundings became. He implied that money could buy beautiful clothes, but never class. Guests exchanged uncomfortable glances, while others quietly laughed to avoid offending their powerful host. Emma felt every eye fixed upon her. Her face burned with humiliation, but she refused to cry. She simply lowered her head and reminded herself of her father's words. Never allow someone else's cruelty to define your worth. Daniel wanted to defend his wife, but years of living under his father's control left him frozen between loyalty and fear. The silence in the ballroom became heavier than any spoken insult. Just then, the large entrance doors slowly opened. A middle-aged man wearing a simple dark suit walked inside. His polished shoes reflected the lights, yet there was nothing flashy about him. His calm expression carried quiet confidence rather than arrogance. Most guests assumed he had wandered into the wrong event. Security hesitated before approaching him, but something about his presence made them stop. The stranger walked directly toward Emma. She looked up, and tears instantly filled her eyes. It was her father. Richard smiled sarcastically, believing another poor relative had arrived to create an even greater embarrassment. He welcomed the man with obvious mockery, assuming he had come hoping to experience luxury for the first time. What happened next stunned the entire room. Several of the world's most respected business executives immediately stood up upon recognizing Emma's father. One after another, influential guests hurried over to shake his hand with genuine admiration. International investors, charitable foundation leaders, and respected entrepreneurs greeted him warmly. The whispers throughout the ballroom changed instantly from laughter to complete disbelief. Richard's confident smile slowly disappeared. Emma's father was not wealthy because he had inherited billions or built skyscrapers. Years earlier, he had quietly founded one of the largest humanitarian organizations in the world after selling a groundbreaking medical technology he had invented. Instead of living in luxury, he donated nearly all of his fortune to hospitals, schools, disaster relief programs, and scholarships for struggling families across dozens of countries. He intentionally lived a modest life because he believed money was valuable only when it improved someone else's life. His name was rarely seen in magazines because he refused publicity. While billionaires competed for headlines, he quietly transformed millions of lives without seeking applause. One respected philanthropist stepped onto the stage and announced that the charity gala's biggest anonymous donor for the past 10 years had always been Emma's father. The room erupted into stunned silence. Richard realized that the man he had just insulted had contributed more to humanity than many of the wealthy people present combined. Emma's father looked around the ballroom without anger. His face reflected disappointment rather than revenge. He spoke about dignity, explaining that wealth without kindness becomes poverty of the soul. He reminded everyone that the value of a human being can never be measured by bank accounts, family names, or expensive possessions. Character remains the only treasure that cannot be bought or stolen. Those words pierced Richard's heart more deeply than any public humiliation ever could. For the first time in many years, Richard saw himself through the eyes of others. He remembered building his fortune with determination, but losing his compassion along the way. Standing before hundreds of guests, he realized he had spent years protecting his reputation while destroying his own family. Slowly, Richard walked toward Emma. His proud posture disappeared. In front of everyone, he admitted that he had judged her without ever trying to know her. He apologized not because her father was respected, but because he finally understood the pain his pride had caused. Tears rolled down Emma's face as years of silent suffering finally found healing. Daniel embraced his wife, grateful that love had survived the storm. From that evening forward, the Sterling family changed. Richard became deeply involved in charitable work, learning from the man he had once underestimated. Emma never sought revenge or recognition. She simply continued living by the values her father had taught her since childhood, proving that genuine kindness possesses a power greater than any fortune. Before this story ends, please write in the comments, "Kindness is the greatest wealth." Your words may inspire someone who desperately needs hope today. If this story touched your heart and reminded you that true greatness comes from humility, compassion, and love rather than money, please like this video, leave your thoughts in the comments, share it with your family and friends, and subscribe to The Kind Soul so together we can continue spreading stories that inspire hope, kindness, and humanity. Sometimes, the richest people are not those who own the most, but those who give the most, and that is a legacy the world will never forget.